Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself. Oh, and if you don't mind, like, subscribe, comment. And I've got a link tree down below that's got my social media. And it has my Patreon if you want to help out. Thank y'all. Folks, this story is sickening and disheartening. Be warned, this is about child abuse and what we do to children in this nation. I'm giving you this warning now, so when you go to listen to this, you are expecting what you will come across. Thank you. It took a decade for a boy to be freed from his abusive parents after people had been calling the child abuse tip line for a decade, actually 11 years. The parents are finally facing the charges they deserve, but this kid will most likely never recover. Think about it. This kid will most likely end up in the broken foster care program, which never prepares kids for the outside world. He will then most likely end up maladjusted and constantly be in some sort of trouble. And if you're reading, or if you go to my Substack down below, I have a link in my Substack article, forothers.com. Here are the stats. 25% of foster kids attempt suicide. 81% of young men become incarcerated. 71% of young women end up pregnant before 21, with half of those kids ending up in the foster care system. 40% of all these kids end up homeless within a year and a half of aging out. 97% end up in chronic poverty. This is what this poor kid will most likely end up dealing with in his life. Here's a brief rundown from KARK, and then afterwards we're going to go into more detail. Records from Baxter County Sheriff's Office show that 42-year-old Jacqueline Barnett and 40-year-old Daniel Wright were arrested Wednesday afternoon. Court records show that police and Mountain Home were called to an apartment complex after someone reported cries from the apartment on Saturday, November 2nd. According to court records, the officer said a child could be heard saying they were trapped inside a bathroom and could not get out. Court records say the officer found the child naked in the bathroom. The child said he was put inside the bathroom the night before by his mother, according to court records. Court records also stated the child told police he was only let out of the bathroom to go to school. Court records cited that dozens of hotline cases of maltreatment opened since 2013 involving the child. Court records stated that the victim referred to Barnett as his mother and Wright as his stepfather. Barnett is currently being held at the Baxter County Sheriff's Office on a $50,000 bond. Wright has since been released. Now, from Ozarks First, this is what the cops had to say. This is all quoting investigator Mike Day. Our sergeant was escorted by the children to the back room into the bathroom area. So there were multiple children in this household. In the master bedroom, they found a ratchet strap that was attached to a bedpost that was attached to the bathroom door where the child could not get out. The sergeant talked to the child behind the door, eventually letting him out, and he discovered the child was there with no clothes, and in fact, the child didn't want to come out because he was embarrassed because he had no clothes, said investigator Mike Day. He hadn't eaten. He was hungry. That investigation led to him telling us that is a regular occurrence that he is only let out to go to school. I went to the bathroom. I saw the kids, saw what was going on. I immediately got on the phone with the Department of Human Services to let them know what was going on. My first intention was, somehow I guess they had some typos and I copied the typos. I'm sorry. How do we get this kid some help, said Day. We discovered that there had been multiple calls regarding this child. I spoke to the neighbors who called this in. In my book, they're heroes. These two people are heroes, no doubt about it. Without them calling, who knows? I mean, it's just going to keep going on, you know. Upon hearing about numerous calls already placed on Ozarks First, asked about the process and if there was any reason this alleged abuse couldn't have been caught before. They said it's possible when DHS made visits, it gave Wright and Barnett a chance to cover up any potential abuse, portraying their home life as anything other than what police discovered. If DHS is going to the home, they're going out to the house where the parents are there and they can control the environment. They can control that setting, they can control that scene, and it's going to look like they said. So naturally, to anyone on the outside looking in, they'd be like, oh yeah, these are just kids being kids. He's just lying. He's continuously lying. We were able to debunk that and discovered this and save this child. We know what the child stating in his forensic interview that he was held in this bathroom with no lights, no food every night, but he's let out to go to school. So that's being he was let out and he's put back. Then he's let out, he's put back. Where the prosecutor came up with the number just to start is, let's go back to January. Let's find out how many days of school he was actually in school. So that's how we did it, based on those numbers. To come up with this number, as he was in school from January up until the time he was located 112 times this year. They said the teen is in his sophomore year at Mountain Home High School. I'll tell you, if you saw him, you'd think he was about 9. He's got some learning disabilities, and he's very small for his age, but super intelligent, super disposition for someone who's been put through this. Man, that kid has a smile ear to ear, almost just so thankful, they said. They said he's aware that there will be public backlash due to the amount of time that had passed before the alleged abuse was discovered. The only thing I'd like to say is that, there's going to be a lot of public scrutiny, a lot of public outcry, justifiably so. The folks that I worked with involving this case with DHS, the local advocacy center here, everyone was very infuriated with this. I don't want to put all the blame on DHS in no means, because they've been very helpful since all this started on November 2nd, they said. I'm trying to look at the brighter side, that something like this will help people or get people to just stop, take a deep breath, and listen to these kids when they're telling you things. In this case, there were so many cases that were opened on him that every time it was found to be unfounded. That's no fault of anybody's. It took something like this, and it took those heroes that live downstairs. They're unbelievable. They're awesome, and I can't thank them enough. Here's what the nastiest end of all this is. These kids are going to end up in the foster care system. Rightfully so, but these kids are going to end up in a situation that they won't be able to cope with the outside world. This kid needs a lot of help. This kid has suffered traumatic incidents that nobody can imagine. Seriously, you can't imagine how traumatic that this had to have been for him. So now this kid, you heard those stats I said at the beginning of the video. This kid's going to have to live through all of that. This kid is going to become an adult very soon, less than 3 years. And who's going to be there to help him? Think about that. Who's going to be there to help this kid after he ages out of the foster care system? I mean, what can we do? There needs to be something done for children like this. If he's intelligent, then he should have a shot at life, but he won't. These parents are scum. And on top of all of that, this kid's life, he's probably going to end up in jail, homeless, not knowing how to eat. His body's never going to recover from this. How do you help somebody like this? We continuously talk about politics in this country. This isn't a political issue. This is somebody that needs help. I don't care what your political persuasion is. You should realize that this kid needs help. I don't know what else to say about this. I read this and I was sickened. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. Folks, I just want to say thank you for listening.
I want to thank you for taking your time. I want to hear what your comments are about what you think on this topic, because your comments are what's important, not necessarily mine. I don't care if you're Republican, I don't care if you're conservative, I don't care if you're liberal, I don't care if you're Democrat. I want to hear your opinion on these topics. I want to thank you yet again for listening to my video. Like, subscribe, and all that other hoopla. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.